From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, January the 22nd, 2020. Prime ministers and presidents of countries across the globe arrived in Israel today to attend the World Holocaust Forum, taking place tomorrow at Yad Vashem, Israel's memorial to the Holocaust in Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with many of the world leaders and other representatives today, including with a bipartisan delegation of U.S. lawmakers led by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Yesterday, the delegation was in Poland, where they visited the JCC of Krakow and the site of the former Auschwitz death camp, the liberation of which will be marked at the Holocaust Forum at Yad Vashem tomorrow, and will be marked on Monday at Auschwitz, 75 years to the day of liberation, January the 27th of 1945. Pelosi wrote in the death camp's museum memorial book, "We all should commit ourselves to fulfill the promise of never again." U.S. Vice President Mike Pence, by the way, will arrive in Israel tomorrow morning. Netanyahu also met today with French President Emmanuel Macron, later telling the press that the meeting focused on many different topics, including Iran and Syria, and that he and Macron agreed to convene a strategic dialogue in order to continue strengthening bilateral cooperation, which Netanyahu called a very important change for Israel's foreign policy that was important for Israel's national security. Later today, the French president apparently was upset with Israeli security as he entered the Church of St. Anne on the Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem's Old City. Macron is seen and heard on video angrily saying that everybody knows the rules, telling Israeli security to leave the church. Macron was accompanied by a special unit of the Shin Bet, Israel's security agency, tasked with protecting visiting leaders. Macron was said to have been angry with them for following him into the church, which is French territory and where Israeli security services do not have jurisdiction. A joint statement by the Israel police and the Shin Bet later said that the French leader's team apologized for the confrontation and that when Macron left the church, he made sure to shake hands with Israeli personnel before continuing his tour of the Old City, where they said he was accompanied by the Israeli forces and all the means required to ensure his safety as a senior personage visiting Israel. Macron, by the way, later visited the Western Wall in the Old City, making him the first French leader to visit the holy site since Jacques Chirac in 1996. Well, White House senior advisor Jared Kushner and U.S. Special Representative for International Negotiations Avi Berkowitz will apparently not be at the World Forum as scheduled tomorrow. The Jerusalem Post, citing a report from Yisrael Hayom, said that the U.S. peace team, who was at the Davos World Economic Forum in Switzerland, returned back to Washington instead of flying, as they were scheduled to do, to Tel Aviv. A Trump administration official told the Post that the team decided to skip the trip after, quote, their flight was delayed due to weather conditions. Tonight, the heads of state in Israel for the forum attended a special dinner at the residence of President Reuven Rivlin in Jerusalem. Rivlin addressed the historic event on combating anti-Semitism. King Felipe VI of Spain spoke as well on behalf of the leaders at the dinner. Russian President Vladimir Putin arrives tomorrow in time for the World Forum, which he will also address. A senior Kremlin official said that Putin will also meet with the mother of Naama Issachar, the Israeli woman who is being held in Russia, sentenced to 7.5 years in prison after 9.5 grams of marijuana was found in her luggage during a layover in Moscow in April, a sentence seen as highly excessive. Netanyahu has spoken to Putin several times to ask for the young woman to be released. 3 Palestinians tried to infiltrate Israel from Gaza, believed to be on their way to carry out a terror attack. The 3 were spotted breaching the security fence yesterday evening between Gaza and Israel, going into a nearby wooded area that is close to a kibbutz. And when Israeli forces arrived at the scene, the terrorists threw an explosive device at them, and the soldiers opened fire, shooting and killing the terrorists. IDF spokesperson Hidai Zilberman said the 3 were planning to carry out a terror attack, but that it was still unclear if they were sent by a Palestinian terror group. And the IDF had a moment with one of the world leaders taking part in the World Forum in Israel. The IDF tweeted that the president of Albania, Ilir Meta, took a moment to meet with and thank the team of IDF soldiers who came to the aid of his nation after a deadly earthquake struck last November. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, January the 22nd. At 7 o'clock, we bring you the recent Zionist Organization of America Gala with Ambassador Danny Dayan, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, Florida Governor DeSantis, Fox host Janine Pirro, and many more. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with former Chief Orthodox Rabbi of the UK, Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks. At 10, Beth Ginsburg talks about history of Jewish political participation in the U.S. and other world governments. And coming up right after this newscast, it's Thinking Out Loud. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, January the 22nd, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader.